Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. Jake of the One Man Band is back again, and this is Edgar. Finally, we're doing another Q&A where I'm going to take your questions and try to answer them to the best of my ability. So, let's head to Twitter. Alright, I kind of messed up there. Forgot to put that thing on Twitter. My bad. Man, I am just terrible with social media. I am the worst. But let's go to YouTube comments. Nolan Uno, or I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, asks quite a few questions. So let's at least answer a few. 1. What do you think if Team Ruby traded by... What do you think of Team Ruby being traded by Goku, and how would Goku react to Yang going Super Saiyan? Okay, so it looks like the first part of your question is, what if all of Team Ruby was traded with Goku? Then, well, there wouldn't be any bad guys left in Remnant anymore, because Goku, I think, is just... His power level compared to people in Ruby is so astronomical, I think he'd just destroy everything. And how would Goku react to Yang going Super Saiyan? He'd probably be all like, wow, you seem pretty strong, let's fight! And then he would proceed to probably destroy her in one punch. Because, once again, he's that strong. How would you do a Red versus Blue cross, plus Ruby crossover? So how would you do a Ruby Red versus Blue crossover? I don't think it would work in any way if it was like actually like the characters together. I think it'd be better if it was just like subtle things. Maybe if like in Red versus Blue there was one of the characters was reading a Ruby manga, or like if in Ruby they were like reading like, oh, Red versus Blue book, or maybe like watching a video or a series called Crimson and Violet. I don't know. Little nods like that I think would be best, rather than a full-blown crossover, because to be honest, I don't think that would work in any way. There would be the big characters from Red vs. Blue and the big characters from Ruby kind of fighting for screen time, and I think it would just kind of ruin the whole experience. Would you like to see Grim dinosaurs in the show? I would like to see Grim anything in the show, as long as we're fighting the Grim. Because in Volume 4, I think there is a distinct lack of Grim, and I didn't like that. What do you think of a Ruby Telltale game to tell a story of Pyrrha before she went to Beacon? I think there would be a lot of feels involved, but we already know the outcome of Pyrrha's story, so I think all the feels would just kind of be lost on us. Plus, Ruby is known for having like these big dramatic fight scenes, and you can't really do that in a Telltale game. Telltale game is mostly about the story. I think it'd be better if it was in the Ruby universe, but like on someone completely separate. The main character is somebody completely separate from the main cast. What cartoon or anime would Team Ruby watch? Gurren Lagann, Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, because both Ruby and Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann both follow the same the rule of cool, as in if it's cool, it will work and it is awesome. So, and Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann was also a big inspiration for Ruby itself as a show. Hakapelita asks, who do you think is the most complex character in the show? Who has the most layers? Shrek, because he's an ogre, and ogres are like onions, which have layers. Ogres are like onions. They have layers. Ogres have layers. Get it? We both have layers. Oh, you meant Ruby characters. You see, you didn't specify in the question. But which character would have the most layers? I think maybe Weiss or maybe Yang. I mean, Blake is very complex as a character, but for the most part, she has pretty much just stayed the same. Weiss, on the other hand, she's gone from being like the bitch character in Volume 1 to actually being a well-respected character in 2 and 3, and then sort of this rebellious huntress at heart in Volume 4. So I think probably Weiss would have the most layers. But that's just my opinion. Kuro Neko asks, do you think Team RWBY will meet up at the beginning of Volume 5 or at the end? Or neither? Greetings from Austria. Ah, well, guten Tag to you. So, the question of when Team RWBY will meet up, I don't want it to be at the beginning of Volume 5, because then it would just be moving way too fast, I think. But at the end would just be, there wouldn't be enough time for us to feel like them actually coming together actually meant something. If it was at the end, it would just kind of be rushed. So I think a happy middle would be the best. Like, at the beginning of the volume, we get to see all the members of Team RWBY in Mistral doing their thing, and then near the middle of the volume, they finally meet back up, and we have this the big meetup moment. Ray's Vickers asks, what is some anime you like at the moment? If you can... What is that word? Hold on, we're gonna find out what this word means. The word doesn't exist on Google! Oh, yeah! Okay, so I think the question they're asking is, if you could abduct any RWBY character, which would it be? Okay, well, the first part of the question is what are some anime you like in the moment? Well, I haven't been watching a lot of anime lately. I've just been so busy, but there is 2 that have caught my eye. Drifters from Kota Hirano and Blood Sea. They've caught my eye, and I want to at least start watching one of them. So, but yeah, those are the ones that really have my eye at the moment. And as for if I could abduct any RWBY character, which would it be? You see, using the word abduct suggests malicious intent, and if I were to abduct anyone from RWBY, they could probably just pound me into the dust, so I'd rather not abduct anyone. I would simply try to become friends with them and maybe have a nice day where we get to know each other, walk around and have ice cream. You know, that would be fun. Have you seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventures? No, I have not, and I don't really have a drive to watch it. It just seems a little too out there for me. I've watched a lot of anime that's been like out there, but I think that may just break me. So I apologize if you guys want me to watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but I don't think it's gonna happen at least anytime soon. It's that Kaito Dan! He actually is asking me a question! Oh, this is awesome! I like this guy. If you don't know, he's a fellow YouTuber, does a lot of RWBY stuff. Go check out his channel, literally. That's his YouTube name right there on his comment. Go check out his stuff. I enjoy his stuff a lot. So, what's the one movie you'd wished to see get a sequel? Oh, that is hard, because most of the time when a movie gets a sequel, you're like, oh, really? It needs a sequel? Or movies are like set in trilogies these days. So, if any movie were to get a sequel, I'm trying to think of movies I have that aren't sequels. You know, I would, although I know that it's like happening and it's probably in pre-production right now, I really want to see a sequel to Mad Max Fury Road. That movie was just amazing, and I'd like to see more of that, like, just crazy action that there was, because it was a good breath of fresh air. As for other movies, once again, I think this is also in pre-production, but I want there to be another Predator movie, because the first one was good, the second one I enjoyed, and the most recent one that was made in, like, I think 2011, I think? Predators. I just didn't really feel it. It was okay. I saw it in theaters, and I actually own it, but I haven't rewatched it. It just didn't captivate me all that much. But I think that would be the answer to that question. Malingar asks, he's also a fellow YouTuber. He's actually been a fan of mine for a while. He also does stuff on YouTube, so go check out his channel too. With Oscar and Crow meeting up in the after credit scene, fans are speculating that Oscar will meet and even join Team Ranger, or return to Orange or whatever. The shippers have also been attached to the idea of a Ruby Oscar ship. What is your opinion on this ship? Well, okay. So the big question of this is what do I think of the ship? To be honest, I don't like shipping just because of the muddied waters it gets people into. You see, at this point, our heroes are too concentrated on like saving the world, doing all that stuff. There is some time on the side left for romance. We have Ren and Nora that are kind of doing that thing. We had John and Pyrrha kind of doing that thing for a few minutes. But Ruby has always been that character that's, you know, I want to save the world, I want to be a hero, I want to be a huntress, she's all these things. She doesn't really have any drive to be in a relationship, at least right now. I mean, Oscar might have those feelings, but I don't think Ruby is really going to be returning them because she's too busy like doing her job and being a hero. So at least for a while, I don't think this ship is going to really go anywhere. But to be honest, I have seen some pretty funny comics and pretty adorable fan art out there of this ship, so I'll leave you guys with that. Gio A asks, what are your top 5 Ruby songs? Okay. This is gonna be hard because of the songs that are in Volume 4, I haven't really listened to them all that much or listened to the full versions of them. So, this list probably will change rather quickly, but I would have to say my top 5 are Red Like Roses Part 2, Divide, When It Falls, This'll Be the Day, and Neon. I think those are my top 5, at least at this moment. It can change, it's always changing. Rax Wolver asks me some questions that aren't particularly about Ruby. 1. How old are you? I'm 22 at this current moment when I'm recording this. It may change in the future, though. 2. What is your favorite 3 weapons? In general, not just Ruby. Well, you see, in general, that's a very wide prospect of time, universes, shows. Okay, well, if I were to say this, number 1 would have to be the good old-fashioned, tried and true lightsaber from Star Wars. Number 2, let's say I'm gonna go with the MP40 back from World War II, because I think it's just such an amazing piece of work, of craftsmanship and weaponship. And I have no idea. You gave me too broad of a question. When you give me too broad of a question, it kind of breaks my mind. What are your 3 favorite characters? In general, not just Ruby. So, my 3 favorite characters. So, characters range, like, because of how they do in their story, what they mean to me, and all this stuff. I really like Scar from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I like Old Man Logan from the Old Man Logan X-Men comic book series, and Jean Valjean from frickin' Les Miserables is awesome. I love his character a lot. A heck of a lot. And 4, what is your 3 favorite enemy factions? In general, not just Ruby. So enemy factions. I like the Sith from Star Wars, Xenomorphs from Alien. I'd say orcs, like from Lord of the Rings. Orcs are cool. These are real general questions, so you're gonna get real crazy answers, my friend. Aaron KTJ asks, what do you feel about the idea of when our heroes reach Haven Academy? Rooster Teeth can open up its contest, like with Velvet, outfit designs, one for fans to submit designs for Haven students and the Huntsman. I'd be stoked for that. Also, and okay, so let's ask that question first. So, we've entered a new area, and you're asking if Rooster Teeth will sort of open up a submit character design. I think that just might take up way too much time, because the thing is, it's like Ruby is so set of being like yearly thing, yearly thing, yearly thing. And if they took the time to take like fan stuff like they do, I think it just take up too much time, because back when it was just Velvet, Ruby was still so much smaller than it is right now. It was still pretty much just the Rooster Teeth fans that were watching it. Ruby really hadn't made it to Crunchyroll or anything like that. And now Ruby is just so big, I don't think they can really do that anymore. As much as it sucks, that's my personal opinion. So, the next part of the question is also an honest question, is how do you feel about the direction Ruby was going when Volume 4 started up, after it ended? Personally, I was very worried at first because Volume 4 didn't really feel like Ruby to me at first, and over time, my confidence in Rooster Teeth was restored, that their hearts were still in this. Well, you see, for me, I knew Ruby Volume 4 was going to be a low-key, sort of like coast volume, but the thing is, as much as it tried to like go into the characters and have them like be resurrected and not resurrected, but like built back up, I think it was just a little too, it was just too broken up for me to really get attached to any one story. The only one I really felt connected to was the Ren and Nora story because of the backstory. And everything else, it just jumped around so fast that I was like, oh no, Crow's poisoned! But now we're back with Blake, okay, Blake's doing a thing, and now we're back with Weiss, and now Yang is still doing stuff. The thing is, in my opinion, Ruby Volume 4 was going to be a flustercluck no matter what they did. What they did the best that they could with what they had, but I'm still holding out hope that Volume 5 will be better now that we're just centering like at one place. So I'm hoping that I just hope that Ruby Volume 5 will be more structured and will actually have like a goal. I don't know, I'm probably just rambling at this point. Solus Yuri asks, can you take a look at Did Volume 4 Happen Out of Order, Ruby Theory by Eruption Fang? I have seen that. Like, I haven't actually watched the video, but I have seen the video that it's up. And I do want to take a look at the video, and I do know that it was said that Ruby Volume 4 didn't, like, the way that it was structured wasn't all chronologically in order. The creators actually said that. That still doesn't absolve them of the sins of Volume 4. But yes, I probably will take a look at this theory and see what Eruption Fang has to say. He's always a real analytical and good guy. Who is your favorite Ruby villain character and why? Well, my favorite was Roman Torchwick because he was a villain that had presence. When he was on screen, he chewed the scenery and he kind of stole the show. And that's what a villain needs to be, in my opinion. A villain needs to be a character that is on par with the hero. As in, we're just as excited to see the villain on screen as we are to see the hero on screen. But we don't particularly need to root for the villain, but we need to acknowledge them as a part of the story and just not like, oh, it's just this guy, we don't care. He was like that. Cinder was kind of like that, but to be honest, her character just seemed a little too bland. While Roman, his character was animated. He did all this stuff. You know, we saw emotion from him. And now that he's gone, I would have to say probably my favorite villain now is Tyrion, because he kind of fills that specter. He's a villain with presence. When he was on screen, I always enjoyed him being on screen because he was just so crazy, so animated, and so just out there. It was great. So, to answer your question, I guess probably right now it is Tyrion. Flyer and Ice asks, 1. If you were to take yourself and 3 other friends / family, which character in Team Ruby or Ranger, your choice, would you say you're most like? I would think I'm probably I would be either Jean or Pyrrha. That's who I would be. I would be their child. Let's put it that way. 2. What are some videos you are planning for this hiatus? Oh, I have so many ideas in mind. I know I'm gonna do a Volume 5 predictions video. I have a bunch of videos that are... I may do character breakdowns of Team Ruby again, but they're gonna be a little bit different than I have done in the past. And I do have a few that are more along the lines of the social economical side of Remnant. Probably sounds very boring to you, but to me, this stuff is very important. So I'm just gonna say I have quite a bit of... Oh, and I also have a video where I'm going to talk about the whole Crow is Ruby's dad theory. I know that was a question on here, so there you go. It is going to be happening. 3. Who are you most excited in seeing in Volume 5? I really want to see Lionheart. I want to see his design and how he acts. Once Ruby Chibi starts up again, are you going to make any videos or none at all? Do you mean episodes about Ruby Chibi? Because originally I was going to review Ruby Chibi, but once I saw that it was just like a funny clip show, I decided, well, I don't need to do reviews on this because they're not really... they're not canon. They're just silly little skits done by Ruby, the people in Ruby. So, Ruby Chibi shouldn't really get in my way of making videos. It shouldn't, but it might, because I get distracted very easily. Have you ever played League of Legends before? I ask this since I know you play Smite, so I was just wondering. I have played League of Legends. I would like to keep playing League of Legends, but the thing is, the friends that I play with, they're always like super busy or like really pro at it compared to me. And the only real character I'm good at is Teemo, and everyone hates me for it. So... I always feel really bad whenever I play. Sad Jake is sad. 1. Always when I see Cinder, I think she's a faunus because of her eyes. What do you think? Maybe she's a leopard faunus? I don't really see any faunusness in her eyes, and I don't think she's a faunus. On the Ruby Wiki, she's counted as human. She hasn't really showed any other signs of being faunus, and she really wouldn't be any more of an important character if she was a faunus. Comet Blaster 1 asks, would you rather be a cold, non-caring person on the outside and is secretly a Machiavellian, or be a kind, sweet person on the outside but is really sensitive and too generous? Nothing to do with Ruby. It's for a story of mine in development. Just curious. So somebody's putting me in a story. That's pretty cool. But I'm just going to check that really quick in Google because I don't want to be taken out of context in any way. Cunning, scheming. Okay. So it's either I'm a not caring person who only is trying to further my own my own thing, like my own agenda, or I'm a kind, sweet person who is sensitive and generous. So, my idea of a Machiavellian was totally wrong. I would rather be a kind, sweet person and be generous, because I do like to help people, and I would like to help people, but I'm all for that kind of person is, if you don't try to help yourself, why should I? And, if you're going to go out of your way to make my life hell, I'm not going to try to... let me break it down this way. When I'm tanking in World of Warcraft, if somebody, like, if a hunter or a warrior decides that, I'm gonna go attack the boss without the tank attacking the boss first, and they go to attack the boss, I'm not gonna help you. I'm gonna sit back, watch you die, and then kill the boss. Because you pulled and you're a terrible person for that. But to answer your question, I'd rather be the kind, sweet person who's sensitive and generous. So there you go. I tend to rant and ramble. I'm sorry. Do you think Yang will ever confront Raven? If so, how do you think it will turn out? I think the end goal for Yang's character arc is to finally find her mother and confront her. And it's going to end, I think, with Yang pretty much saying, yeah, you're my mom, but you're a piece of crap. I don't need you. Bye. That's just what I think. That's just what I think. And I think it's going to happen later down the line. It's not going to happen in Volume 5. At least I'm hoping that it doesn't. What do you think about Platypus? Doobie doobie doo ba doobie doobie doo ba doobie doobie doo ba doobie doobie doo ba. Perry! What do you think Haven Academy and students will be like in Volume 5? Probably similar to Beacon, only maybe a little bit more paranoid after what they saw happen to Beacon. And for the most part, I don't think we're going to be centering on Haven and its students much in Volume 5. It's going to be mostly Team Ruby doing stuff. What type of card games you play when growing up? War, Go Fish, Uno. If you're asking like trading card games, I never really was big into trading cards. I only got big into trading cards when I was an adult. So, sorry about that. That kind of just throws a wrench into your question. Ruby never mentioned the silver eyes in Volume 4. Do you think she avoids them because she doesn't understand them, or chooses to avoid them because she could potentially hurt, freeze, or blind her friends? Well, a situation never came up where she actually could use them. She only unlocked her silver eyes when she was in great emotional distress at the end of Volume 3. To be honest, I think it's really stupid that she didn't bring it up, like, at all. It's like, silver eyes were, like, introduced in Volume 3, and then it's like Volume 4. They aren't even talked about, so I think that's just really dumb that wasn't brought up. I think that was just stupid. How do you come up with your theories? Well, it mostly comes down to me thinking about one aspect of Ruby. Like, I think about, say, dust. I think about, okay, dust. Dust comes from this, but how is it used? Like, it pretty much starts off with a subject and then a hypothetical question. And then I just sort of snowball it, and it just keeps rolling down, until it becomes a theory. There's also where I take like things like a character's inspiration, or, you know, what things are based off of, and I kind of draw comparisons to the inspiration to actual Ruby, and I sort of make a conspiracy theory like, this could happen because it happened in the inspiration. But that doesn't mean inspirations tell the fate and destiny of every single character and location. It just sort of works out that way. So mostly it's me just thinking of one thing really, really hard and overanalyzing it for a few days, maybe up to a few months, and then I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And then all that time I'm taking down notes, writing stuff down so I don't forget things, because if I don't, then I would forget them. So it's pretty much just a snowball thing, man. It's just a snowball thing. Have you seen Fairy Tail? If so, what are your opinions on it? I've seen some of Fairy Tail. I think I watched episode like 64 or something like that. There was a time where I actually actively tried to get into it, but to be honest, I didn't really find it to be all that entertaining. It's like, the characters were like, oh, all these characters, it's like, I don't know, it just didn't grab me, and it just didn't keep me. I was just like, it's just another shonen long-running anime, and it's like, it just seemed to be like too long, because like I look like, okay, I'm on like episode this, and then there's like 15 million other episodes, and I'm just like, oh, ain't nobody got time for that. It isn't my cup of tea, to be honest. I know that there's probably some good storylines and plot lines, but I just don't want to work through all the entirety of Fairy Tail to get to those. What is your favorite color? Green! What is your personal idea on Ozpin's relationship with Salem? Hugs to you and Aaron, and just call my YouTube screen name Yan. Well, okay, Yan. Me and Aaron send hugs back to you. I know that she'll really like the idea of getting hugs. And the personal idea of his relationship with Salem. Well, Salem seems to have been around longer than Ozpin. And I think Ozpin sees Salem as this sort of great mastermind of badness. So I think they're just sort of adversaries that not only do they sort of fear each other, but they also respect each other just due to the fact that they're both in the top positions, if you will. But we would honestly need more time with Salem to understand fully, because she's barely had any screen time, and it is sad. Sandwiches42 asks, what's your favorite food? And guess mine. My favorite food is whatever food is in front of me. And as for yours, pizza. Gonna say pizza. It has to be pizza! If Rooster Teeth makes a live-action movie of Ruby, what will be your reaction? Why? Why? Why would you do this? There's no reason for this. The animation is good. Is good. You don't need a live-action movie. We really don't. We don't. We really don't. If you were a huntsman in the Ruby universe, what would be your semblance and your weapon? I already know what my semblance is. It's ranting. And as for my weapon, to be honest, Pyrrha's weapon. Pyrrha's sword, shield, rifle, spear, javelin. It just had it all. And I loved that weapon. I loved it so much. It broke my heart when it broke. Since we know that Pyrrha attended the combat school Sanctum, which is located in Mistral, do you think Jean will have an encounter with her family? And do you think there's a possibility that they may not know she is dead, since the last time they saw her was her fight with Penny before the communications across the kingdom went down? Well, I think in some way people would have gotten notarized of casualties in at the Battle of Beacon. So I think in some way they would know, rather like mail, carrier pigeon, or some sort of military transport sending them an accommodation. But I really like the idea of Jean going to her family and like all that stuff, because it would just sort of like, it would give him more of a chance to like grow and grieve with her family. It doesn't need to happen, but if it does, and if it's done right, I will think that it's a very good addition to Jean's story. And it would kind of maybe be a closing of the book of the Jean and Pyrrha arc that is, I think, still going on at this moment. Martin Johnson asks, here's one. If you could have one of the gear pieces from Laser Team, the shoes, helmet, blaster, and shield, which would you choose? Just so it's clear, you can take it off and put it on whenever you want. Well then, that takes away all the fun of it. The thing about Laser Team is that these items are stuck to our protagonists, and that's why they become the Laser Team. If I were to choose, though, I think I'd choose the shoes, because I'd like to get around places really fast, and gas is expensive, so I'd take the shoes. And the shield would be a close second. And it appears that Yang Xiaolong herself has asked me a question. Well, Do you think Salem was downplayed in Volume 4? Tremendously! Yang, tremendously. I think a majority of the villains in Volume 4 were really played down. Because here we are, we get the very beginning of the volume, it's a council meeting with all the bad guys, and nothing, it's like they get their orders, and then nothing really happens with them for the rest of the series, except for Tyrion. The rest of the volume, it's like nothing really happens with them. They just sort of dawdle, do their things, come back at the very end, and I just feel to understand better our villains and to sympathize with them at least a little bit, we need to see more of them. That's why it's like Roman was such a good villain, Tyrion is a good villain, is because they have interaction with the heroes and they steal the show in a way. And that's what a villain needs to do. They need to be just as good as the heroes. Not good in the traditional sense, but good as in have good screen presence, is what I'm saying. Alrighty, my friends, that's going to end this Q&A session. I know that there was a lot of questions. I tried to get to as many of them as I could. If your question wasn't answered, I apologize. There's a lot of them, and I don't want to make super long freaking videos me answering questions. Maybe I'll actually go back to the template of doing live streams where I actively take questions. Leave a comment down below if you guys would prefer me to do live stream Q&A rather than these pre-recorded ones, because it would kind of be less of a strain on me. I wouldn't have to edit so much. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like and favorite if you did. Subscribe, of course, if you feel inclined to. Check out some links down in the description taking you to my Twitter page and my Patreon page. If you want to support me on Patreon, go ahead and do that. It would help me out a lot. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors, by the way. And for everyone else, I want you guys to be a good person, tip your waitresses, keep moving forward. I'll see you guys next time I'm out there in YouTube land. I'll see you then. Yeah!